Hey, hello again, everybody. Hey, before we get started on the next story, I have to tell you something that is really funny, and I have permission to tell this. Uh, about 10 or 11 years ago, I was coming out of Mass one morning, 7 o'clock Mass, and as I was walking away, this nun, who was a good friend of mine, she was a teacher at St. Edmund High School in Fort Dodge, came up to me, grabbed my arm, and she was just shaking, and she was laughing. She said, "Oh, John, I just have to tell you." I said, "What's going on, sister? What's so funny?" She said, "You're funny." She said, "I have to tell you something." And she said, "I'm not proud of this, but you need to know to understand the story. I have trouble with constipation. And I'll tell you what, your book makes me laugh so hard that when I read your book, it helps me go. So you know what? I leave your book, Me and Snap, in the bathroom. And when I'm constipated, I just go in there and pick up that book and away I go. And and she said, "So it works." I said, "Oh, so we kind of have an over the counter book that works on constipation rather than pills and that other stuff. A book, and it's not hard on the rest of your system." Thank you, sister. Hey, tell me this. Can I share this with my readers? That's a really interesting story. She said, "Yes, of course you can. Just don't tell them my name." I said, "Sister, I promise." And that's I just had to share that with you. Okay, get in my time machine. We're ready to go here. We're going back to 1955. Forts in the jungle. I was 11 years old. Brother Snap was 10. We used to build these forts in the jungle. Just tap that. I'm sorry. Hey, yeah, and I'm not good with technology, so once in a while, if I goof up, hey, I goof up. That's just the way it's going to be. We had a neighbor who sold pianos, and he had these big piano boxes, and so we would buy those piano boxes from him for $5 each. He would call us and say, "Hey, Bruner boys, I got some piano boxes for you." And there were other kids in the neighborhood that bought them too, so we'd go get them, and we used to build forts with them, two-story forts. We'd stack one piano box on top of the other. And we'd cut a hole in the bottom of one. We had an upstairs and a downstairs. The downstairs is where we kept our supplies. We kept crackers and candy and Cracker Jacks, and we also kept toilet paper and all those necessary things. Yeah, toilet paper. We used to we used to go to the bathroom in the jungle, and I've already told you what the jungle is. It's a big field about the size of a football field. Uh, we spent most or the majority of our childhood growing up in that jungle. Anyway, in the second floor was our war room. That's where we'd go up and we'd have our conferences and decide what we had to do that was so important. Anyway, there was a day, summer 1955, that we were in the jungle. A bunch of us. There had to be 8 or 9 or 10 of us in the jungle, and we were having fun. We used to call them monkey fights. We'd get in trees, and we would challenge each other. One guy would challenge another guy. They'd both get up in the same tree, get on a limb, and they'd start pushing and kicking until one guy fell out of the tree. Nobody hardly ever got hurt. I don't recall that anybody got hurt bad. But old Snap, he took on a guy that was a little older than him, and Snap kicked him out of the tree. Now, this guy wasn't very happy about that. When Snap got down, he came up and he said, "You know what? You were cheating up there. And I'm sick and tired of the Bruner kids and the Bruner gang cheating every time we climb up a tree. You guys find some way to get an unfair advantage of us. So anyway, I just want you to know, and I tell you what, I hope you like your fort because it's not going to be here much longer." We said, "What? What are you talking about, man? This guy had a fort of his own. He had a double-decker fort. What's he talking about?" I said, "What are you talking about?" He said, "You heard me. One of these days, your fort's just going to be gone." And we just gave him fair warning, said, "You better not do anything to this fort. You better not touch it." So anyway, he left and he was pouting and he was kind of using some bad language and away he went. So we were a little worried about that. A couple of weeks later, we went on vacation to Okoboji, and the Size family and our family Used to go up to Okoboji for a week together every year. Our parents were very close. We were close to the kids, almost all the same age. Had a great week up there. Had a great week. Before we left, though, we went out to the fort just to secure it a little bit. We dug a little tiger trap in front of the front door. Dug it, I don't know, 2.5 feet deep. It was pretty deep. And we put some dog dung down there. And then we covered that up with some grass. And then we covered up the top of that hole with some sticks and more grass and some leaves that had come off the tree already in that. So anyway, it was pretty well hidden. Took off, went up to the lake, had a great fun time at Okoboji like we always did. That's a magical place. Had a great time. Got home, and the first thing that we did when we got home, me and Snap and Cy went running out to check on our fort because we remembered this guy, and we didn't know him all that well, but we went running out there to check on our fort. And when we got there, it was the worst nightmare that you could imagine. When we got there, we found that our fort was not just knocked down, it was burned down, burned to the ground. Whoever did it stepped in our tiger trap, and I'm sure that he was a little bit smelly by the time he left there. But we knew who it was, and he had his own forts. And so we decided, hey, this is war. You know what? We're going to get even. And we did. Me and Snap and Cy headed down the jungle trail. About 3 blocks away was this guy's forts. We got there and we had a plan. And when we got there, Cy was to get on top of the fort and cave in the roof of the fort. Me and Snap, we were going to kick in the sides of the fort. So there we were. We both had 2 or 3 cherry bombs in our pockets also, just in case. We kicked in the side. Cy kept jumping up and down on top, finally caved it in. And then it was daylight, though. It was the middle of the afternoon, and so we didn't want to hang around any longer than we had to. So we got done knocking that thing down to the ground, kicking in the walls, kicking in the roof and everything. And as we left, we all lobbed a big old cherry bomb into what was left of that fort of his. And we took off running. And as we ran, we looked over our shoulder. Sure enough, those cherry bombs caused that fort to catch on fire. And you could see that thing burning for 2 or 3 blocks away. It wasn't real heavy wood. It was, matter of fact, it was very dry wood and pretty soft at the time. And it just burned and burned. Now, that worried us. But we didn't think anybody saw us. So that night, after supper, me and Snap were upstairs in the boys' room. And Dad came up the stairs and he said, "Boys, you guys come down here right now." And we thought, oh. And so we went down and he said, "I just talked to so-and-so's grandmother. You boys were up there at her grandson's fort and you knocked it down and then you burned it to the ground, and she witnessed you the whole time. Now, is this true?" "Yeah, Dad, it's true, but he destroyed our fort. Did you go out and look at what was left of our fort? There's nothing left of it. He burned it down while we were at the lake." And Dad said, "Well, I talked to her about that. If maybe her grandson didn't have something to do with your fort." And she said, "Nope. He denies it, said he never had anything to do with it, doesn't know anything about it." We said, "Come on, Dad. You're a lawyer. Let's have a trial. This guy's lying." And Dad said, "Listen, of course we can't do anything like that. Now you boys, you're going to have to buy this guy a new fort, a double-decker, just like the one that you claim that he burned down, but I'm sorry, we can't get anything from him because there was no witness to that, and nobody's come forward. But there was a witness to your destruction." And this grandma came forward. Oh, boy, we were disappointed. Anyway, we went up to Mr. Wagner's the next day, and we gave him what money we had left, which was about $12, and we bought 2 of those piano box forts, and We of course weren't going to deliver him for this guy. He had to come and get him himself. But we were broke. We didn't have any money. And that was the end of that. Snap and I went out to the jungle after that, walking around. We were really pretty sad. And we were still kind of mad. Then all of a sudden, Snap nudged me. He said, "Hey, John, let's build another fort. But let's build it up there." Snap pointed to the biggest tree in the jungle. A tree fort. Great idea. But we weren't carpenters. We didn't know about that. But yeah, a tree fort. So we went and got Cy Farner and we told him what was going on. Great idea. Now they were building new houses all over our neighborhood. And we used to go and watch the carpenters, and they would give us leftover pieces of lumber and nails and things like that. Told one of these nice young carpenters what we were going to do. And he said, "Well, listen, let me help you. I have a little time over the noon hour. I'll crawl up in that tree with you guys, and we'll put some 2x4s up there, get some flooring in up there, and just get some of the framework for you, and then you guys can finish it off. How's that?" Wow. He did a great job, and then we did as good a job as we could. And all of a sudden, we had this great, beautiful tree fort. It would hold at least 4 guys. We crawled up there. We took sand. We took water. We took slingshot material like rocks. Got our BB guns up there, and we had a trap door. There was no way anybody's going to get through that trap door if we're up there, because all we have to do is stand on it, and they can't get in there. And if they do try to come up, well, I tell you what, we've got water. We soak them a little bit. And then after that, after they're soaked, we pour a little sand on them. It worked every time. Anyway, beautiful, beautiful fort in the jungle. But this was a tree fort. Now, one day we were in that tree fort. Snap and I, Cy wasn't there, but we were minding our own business. And just kind of out of nowhere came these 4 older guys, older meaning like 2-3 years older than me and Snap. We were only 10 and 11. These guys were teenagers. And they came and stood below the fort, and they were hollering. I said, "Hey, you guys, you ain't know you're up there. Come on." And they said, "Come on, you little chicken shits. Come down here and fight. You guys just got big mouths up there. Come on down." Well, you may not believe this, but we really hadn't heard that term before, chicken shits. And so we decided, well, we kind of like that term. We kind of liked it. So we hollered down and we said, "Come up and get us, you little chicken shits." And the battle was on. It was quite a battle. Those guys tried to get in. They were banging away at the trap door. They were shooting slingshot rocks into the open windows we had up there. They were firing their BB guns. This went on for some time, but we held the fort. It was kind of like the Alamo. We were outnumbered, and we were outgunned, but we held the fort. And this is one time in history that the Alamo won the battle. Yes, we won the battle. Those guys disappeared. You know what? They never did come back to our fort. They never did. Anyway, forts in the jungle, they were great. They were great. We had so much fun growing up in the 40s, 50s, and 60s, and living in those jungle forts and defending the tree fort, the Alamo. It's a good story. True story. Hope you enjoyed it.